Good morning, everyone. We are continuing with chapter number second, Introduction to Node JS. In last lecture, we have seen the introductory part about Node JS. That is, what is Node JS? Okay, what are the applications where Node JS is used? Then Node JS is an open source or it is cross-platform runtime environment for server-side and networking applications. Okay, so we have seen what is Node JS, which runtime environment is used, what is what I can say, what are the elements of Node.js. Okay, the features of Node.js like asynchronous and event driven. Event driven means whenever any event occurs, it will call the API based on that event and perform that operation. Okay, it is very fast, single threaded but highly scalable, no buffering, license. These are some features of Node.js we have seen yesterday. Then we have seen the advantages of Node.js. Okay, then we have seen the traditional web server model. Here you can see the traditional web server model that whenever user comes with their request sent to that web server, and in traditional web server model, there is a thread pool. Okay, every request is assigned separately to separate thread. Okay, here you can see thread 1 executes request 1, thread 2 executes request 2, and thread 3 executes request 3. That means there is a thread pool in traditional system and every request is assigned separately to dedicated thread. Okay, then we have seen the Node.js process model. Okay, we have seen the difference between traditional process model, traditional web server model, and process model. Okay, so here, no, it is a Node.js process model. This is the Node.js server. Okay, we have seen the difference, that is in traditional web server model there is a thread pool, but here there is a single thread. Okay, and it uses that event loop and it uses internal C++ thread pool. Okay, here you can see request one request comes to that server, and here you can see single thread assigned to that single thread, and it requires that any IO operation, that means event is triggered. Okay, so it comes to that event loop and it will send to that internal C++ thread pool to perform that asynchronous job. Okay, so after sending that request to that internal thread, you can see the thread is free, okay, for proceeding another request. So another request comes and completes its operation. That means here you can see after coming the request to that single thread, it will send direct response to that request. That means it does not require any IO operations, so it completes their task and send response to that request. Okay, here you can see the afterwards the thread is free. Then the first request, after completing its operation, completing its IO, it will call back to that event loop and it triggers the event and sends a synchronous job complete response to that single thread, and single thread sends response to that request. Okay, this is the Node.js process model. Yesterday we have seen that. Okay, so today we are going to continue with the next point, that is installation of Node.js. Okay, how to install Node.js on Windows or any other platforms. Okay, so we can install this environment on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Solaris system, multiple environments. Okay, so we need some tools or SDK for installing or developing that Node.js application. We need some tools to develop, or we need some tools and SDK to develop that Node.js application on any platform. Like we need Node.js, we need npm, that is Node Package Manager, we need IDE, integrated development environment, or any text editor to write that code. Okay, so what is the npm here? It is the default package manager for Node.js. Okay, and it gets installed into system when we are going to install that Node.js. Okay, it can manages packages that are local dependencies of a particular project as well as globally installed JavaScript tools. Okay, whenever we are going to install that Node.js, that Node Package Manager automatically install while installing that Node.js. Okay, that npm is included in Node JS since that newer version comes, okay, like 0.60. So there is no need to install that npm separately. Okay, previously we have to install that npm separately, but whenever newer version comes, it is not necessary to install that npm separately. Okay, so how to install this Node.js on Windows? Okay, so you can simply download that Node.js from the site and choose the latest version for installation based on your operating system. Okay, it is 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay, as per your operating system. Okay, then download that Node MSI. Okay, for Windows by clicking on their version, that is download LTS version for, that is long term support. Okay, LTS version for Windows. Okay, after downloading that version, install that version. This is the general steps of installing any software. Okay, but whenever you are going to download that Node.js for Windows, download that latest version with LTS. Okay, that is the lifetime or long term support. Okay, after downloading that, install that by accepting the terms and conditions. Okay, and after that, finish that installation. After finishing that installation of Node.js, verify that installation. How to verify that? On Windows, you can simply open your command prompt. Okay, by by pressing Windows R or run your command. Okay, and type node dash v. That means check the version of that Node.js. It will, if that Node.js is installed successfully, then it will show the version of Node.js. Okay, on your machine. These are the simple steps installing the Node.js on your Windows. Okay, remember, if you are going to use Windows, download the latest version with LTS. Okay, then we can install this Node.js on Mac or Linux. Okay, in colleges we are going to use that Linux support. Okay, so that's why that how to install that Node.js to Node.js from that repositories. Okay, instead of writing commands, you can download the tar file for Linux. Okay, you can extract the tar file by commands and install that tar file by or packages one by one by writing some commands. Okay, or you can simply use these commands like sudo apt install Node.js or sudo apt install npm. Okay, after successful installation of that software, you can check the version of Node.js by passing the command nodejs-v. Okay, using these commands, you can install the Node.js on your Linux environment. Okay, these are some installation steps for installing the Node.js on Windows or Linux. Okay, so how to run that code? Okay, here start by installing Node on your computer. If you don't have, or if you don't have that software, you can install it, or if you have, then open it. Okay, so how to run that code in your software? Okay, or on your terminal. So for example, you can create one file like app.js in your text editor or the software you have installed. Okay, then in that script, add console.log. That is simple code. Okay, it just based on your syntaxes, it's just one line that you can display one messages, that is hi on your console. Okay, console means that is displaying messages on your terminal. Okay, so write like add the console.log in bracket in single quote hi. Okay, so on your terminal, when you're running on your terminal. Okay, so change the path or change the directory to your current folder. Okay, that file is present in that folder. And how to run? Type node your file name. Okay, node app.js. Okay, so after executing this, it will show the log like hi. Okay, hi to the console. It will show the hi message on your console if you are writing like console.log in bracket hi. Okay, so how to run? Simply move to your directory, that means change the path on your terminal and write node app.js. Okay, node, that your file name. Okay, this is the way you can run your Node.js code. So next one is Node.js event loop. In process model, you have seen that is event loop. Okay, here you can see request. when a request comes to that thread or to that server, if that request needs any IO operations, that means that event is triggered. So that here you can see the single thread. Okay, this is for process model. Okay, so whenever that event is triggered, it will pass or it will register that callback to that your intensive operation. These are the intensive operation. That means that file is needed some IO or any operations. Okay, so that event or that request is registered with your or passes to that your internal C++ thread pool. Okay, that means they are going to perform some operations within that pool. After completing that operations, it will send or it will comes to that event pool or to that thread. Okay, here you can see after completing the operation, it will come to that event pool or event loop, and it will trigger the event that is first request. For example, that first request completes its IO operation. Now proceed with the response to that request using your single thread. Okay, after completing that event or after completing that IO operation, it will trigger the callback to that request. Okay, so callback means passing the message or passing that event to with or with their argument. Okay, so that event is triggered to that or trigger the callback event to that request. Okay, that means sending the response to that request. Okay, this is the event loop for that Node.js. Okay, whenever request comes to that single thread, if it requires any IO operations or any event is triggered, it will goes to that internal C++ thread pool, perform their operations with file system or in database or any computational operation. Okay, after completing that operation, it comes to that event loop and passes to that passes to that single thread and send the response to that request. Okay, so next part is blocking versus non-blocking. What is blocking versus non-blocking? Here you can see the example. We have to read the data from file and show the data. Here you can see the synchronous IO and asynchronous IO. That means sequential or non-sequential or unsequential operation. Okay. Here you can see in synchronous IO, thread waits during IO operations. Whenever we are performing any synchronous IO operation, a thread has to wait for uh, that IO operations. Here you can see the thread wait for performing the IO operation. After performing that IO, next thread, if the next request arrives, then it has to wait that thread that pool is or that we can say the thread is free, then that request is assigned to that thread. Okay, so if that first file is performing that IO operations, that means that thread is busy, so next request has to wait. After that thread is free, then the request is assigned to that thread. Okay, so in synchronous IO, the processes or thread has to wait for that performing IO operations. In asynchronous IO, thread don't have to wait for any IO operations. Okay, but in backside, that IO operation is going to perform, that request is going to perform with their IO operations. We have seen that in process model. Okay, sorry, in the process model we have seen thread don't wait for the IO operation. Okay, so request comes, and that if that single request is need any IO operations, it will at the backend it will perform their IO operations and it triggers the event and send the response to that request. After that, you can here we have seen that it will execute with. After that, here you can see first request comes to that thread. At the backend, it processes with their IO operations till we are going to proceed with next request. Okay, this is the asynchronous IO operation. Okay, that means thread don't have to wait for any IO operations or any operations. Here you can see blocking refers to operations that block further execution until the operation finishes. Okay, blocking means the thread is busy. Okay, so while the operation is going on for first request. Okay, that thread has to wait for the first operation has been finished. Okay, so next one is, while in non-blocking what happens, it will refers to code that does not block the execution. Okay, or as Node.js docs puts it, blocking is when execution of additional JavaScript in Node.js process must wait until the non-JavaScript operation completes. Okay, so in blocking, we have to wait. In non-blocking, we do not have to wait for any IO operations. We can execute simultaneously. Here you can see blocking method executes synchronously and Non-blocking methods executes asynchronously. Okay, synchronously means we have to wait, and asynchronously means we don't have to wait for performing any IO operation. We can proceed with another request. Okay, instead of waiting in non-blocking. So here you can see read the data from file. Okay, and we have to show the data. Okay, so here you can see where data is equals to fs. Okay, read file synchronously. We are going to read this file, okay, in blocking mode. Okay, that is we are going to write console.log data. What data contains, it will read this file. Okay, otherwise we are going to print do other task. Okay, this is the synchronous way. That means we have to wait if that file needs any IO operations. Okay, in non-blocking we do not have to wait. We read the data and show the data. Okay, we are directly going to show the data by console.log. Here you can see fs.read file. We are going to read this file. If any error, we are going to show that file. Okay, we are going to show that error. Okay, this is the non-blocking phase. When to use this, or what are the applications that Node.js is used for? Web applications, socket server, ad server, proxy server, then streaming server. At server side script, we are going to use Node.js. Okay, or we can use while applications like chat application, messaging applications, real-time applications. Okay, communication hubs, then concurrency applications, coordinators. For that, we are going to use that Node.js. Okay, so this is the end of your second chapter. Okay, that is introduction to Node.js.